Hello, my name is Anonymous. I'm one of the animators here at the studio, and I'm going to tell you a story about a little goldfish named Toto. It's nighttime. The moon is shining, and shining brightly. We're inside a cozy house by the sea, and an old lady called Grandma Tilly is tucking a little goldfish named Toto into bed. And she says, "Oh, it's time for bed, my little Toto. Did you enjoy your day at the beach?" And Toto says, "Yes, thank you, but now I'm all tired and ready for bed." So Tilly says, "Well, it's always bedtime after sunset. Just like the sun sets every night, we have to set aside our toys and get ready for sleep." Then Toto looks up at the moon shining through the window and asks, "Can fish fly, Grandma?" And Tilly says, "Oh, Toto, that's a very good question. You know you always ask the best questions. Well, I think fish probably can fly. You know, if they try hard enough and believe in themselves. Anything's possible." And Toto says, "I want to fly to the moon." And Tilly says, "Well, I guess one day you can go to the moon. Not tonight, but one day." And Toto says, "Okay." And he snuggles into his bed. And Tilly says, "Now close your eyes and dream sweet dreams, my little Toto." So Toto closes his eyes and drifts off to sleep. But now we're going to dive under the sea and see a little fish who wanted to fly. Deep in the sparkling blue ocean, there lived a bright orange fish named Finley. Now, Finley was just an ordinary fish, except that he had an extraordinary dream. He wanted to fly up to the surface and soar through the sky. Every day as he swam past the coral mazes and played hide and seek with the seahorses, Finley would gaze up at the birds flying overhead. He watched them glide effortlessly through the air, and he longed to join them. He would imagine himself with wings, diving and swooping alongside them as they soared above the ocean. And so every day, Finley would gather seaweed and bubbles and make wing shapes out of them. He would flap his makeshift wings and jump out of the water, trying to mimic the birds. And all the other sea creatures would giggle and say, "Look at Finley trying to fly again. Ha, ha, fish can't fly." But Finley didn't care what they said. He kept trying and trying, believing that one day he would be able to fly. Then one day, Finley swam over to a wise old turtle named Tula, and he said, "Tula, I want to fly to the surface and touch the sky. Can I do it? Do you think?" And Tula smiled at Finley's enthusiasm and said, "Dreams are like the tides, young Finley. They rise when you believe in them." Then Tula took a shiny pearl from under her shell and gave it to Finley. She said, "Here, take this pearl with you. It's a pearl of courage. May it remind you to never give up on your dreams." And Finley thanked Tula and swam off, clutching the pearl tightly. As he swam, he thought about what the wise turtle had said. Maybe he could fly. He believed in himself a little more and decided to try one more time. He gathered some more seaweed and made bigger wings. This time he was determined to make his dream come true. He jumped out of the water and flapped his wings as hard as he could. For a moment he felt something strange, like he was floating. He looked down and saw that the bubbles were lifting him up, up, up into the air. He was flying. He flew all around the ocean, up, up, up into the sky. At first Finley was scared, but then he started laughing. He laughed as he flew higher and higher. He swooped and soared like the seagulls, feeling free and happy. And as he flew, he noticed a friendly-looking seagull and shouted, "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any tips on how to fly, would you?" And the seagull said, "Of course I can help you. I'm an expert at flying. What's your name?" And the fish said, "My name is Finley." "And Finley," the fish said, "I'm trying to learn how to fly back down to the surface, but I don't really know how. Would you mind giving me a hand?" And the seagull said, "Well, sure. Why not? I'd love to help you out. I'm Gust. Nice to meet you, Finley. So Finley said, Nice to meet you too, Gust, and I'm on my way to the surface. Would you mind giving me a lift? I promise I'll pay you back, any way I can help you out. And Gust said, Sure thing, Finn. Hop on my back. Hold on tight and we'll be up and away in no time. So Finley climbed onto Gust's back and held on tight as they soared up into the sky. As they flew, Gust asked, So why do you want to fly so badly, Finley? And Finley said, Because I want to see what it's like up here. I want to see the world from a different perspective. Plus, it looks so much fun up here. I mean, look at all this. And Gus said, Well, sure, but it's also hard work being a bird. You have to keep flapping your wings all the time just to stay up in the air. Wouldn't you rather just swim around in the water where there's no gravity and no wind resistance? And Finley said, No, I want to fly. Being a fish isn't exciting enough for me. I want to be a bird. I want to be free. So Gus just nodded his head and said nothing. And soon they were nearing the surface. And Finley said, Okay, Gust, I'm almost at the surface. I just need a little bit more oomph and I'll be there. And Gus said, Well, all right, just hold on tight. And Gus dove down into the water and came right back up with 2 shiny white shells tied together with some string. And he said, Here, put these on your fins. I tied them together with some string so you can wear them like flippers. And they have some bubbles trapped inside. Hopefully that'll give you enough lift to reach the surface. And Finley said, Thanks, Gust. You're the best. And he put the bubble shells on his fins, and he said, Okay, here goes nothing. And he jumped out of the water, and right away the bubbles burst and lifted him up into the air. He was flying. He laughed and shouted, Whee! As he flew higher and higher. He soared above the waves, feeling free and happy. He flew over the ocean, over the islands, over the mountains and valleys. And as he flew, he saw all kinds of amazing things. He saw dolphins leaping out of the water, whales swimming past him, and colorful birds flying overhead. He even saw a rainbow that stretched all the way from one end of the horizon to the other. Finley flew and flew until he was exhausted. Then he started to slowly come back down to earth. He landed in the water with a splash and gasped for breath. He was tired, but he was also very happy. He had flown. And as he swam back down to his home in the coral reef, all the other sea creatures cheered and shouted, Finley flew! Finley flew! Even the shy octopus came out of his den to see what all the commotion was about. And the other fish told him about how Finley had flown all the way to the surface and back. And the octopus was amazed and said, Wow, that's incredible. I wish I could fly like that. And Finley blushed and said, It wasn't anything, really. I just did it because I wanted to see what it was like up there. Plus, I wanted to show everyone that fish can fly if they believe in themselves and never give up. And as Finley swam back to his home, all the other sea creatures followed him, chanting, Finley flew, Finley flew. Finley. Back in Tilly's house, Toto wakes up from his nap and sees that the sun is setting outside the window. And he says, Oh, wow, I must have been asleep for a while. How long was I asleep, Grandma? And Tilly says, Oh, about half an hour, Toto. I hope you had sweet dreams. And Toto says, Oh, yes, I dreamed that I was flying, soaring through the sky just like a bird. It was amazing. You know, I think I could actually fly if I tried hard enough and believed in myself. And Tilly says, Oh, Toto, anything's possible if you believe in yourself. Anything at all. And Toto says, Okay, well, maybe I can't fly today, but I can dream that I can. Sweet dreams, Grandma. And Tilly says, Sweet dreams, Toto. And the screen fades to stars and soft music. The end.